Scientists called it impossible. Approximately 2,100 years old. Just the object itself, with 2,000 years of silence around it. Today is the full story. This is the Antikythera Mechanism. And by the time this video ends, your understanding of what ancient Greece was actually capable of will be different from what it was. Not because of speculation, not because of theory, because of verified, documented, peer-reviewed fact. Let's go back to where this started. Easter, 1900.
Captain Dimitrios Kontos and his crew of sponge divers from Simi Island are traveling through the Aegean Sea toward North Africa. A storm forces them to shelter near a small, remote island, Antikythera, between mainland Greece and Crete. While waiting for the weather to pass, a diver named Elias Stadiatis descends to 45 meters, 148 feet, wearing nothing but a canvas suit and a copper helmet. He surfaces almost immediately, visibly shaken. He reports seeing something impossible, rotting corpses and horses on the seafloor. Captain Kontos, assuming the diver is experiencing nitrogen narcosis from the depth, descends himself. He surfaces holding the arm of a bronze statue. The wreck is real, and it is ancient. The Hellenic Royal Navy is notified. An excavation begins. Bronze statues, marble sculptures, glassware, coins, armor. The wreck is enormous, estimated at over 50 meters long, one of the largest Roman cargo ships ever found. It sank, scholars believe, somewhere between 70 and 60 BC. Among the recovered artifacts is what appears to be a corroded lump of bronze and wood, roughly the size of a shoebox. Nobody pays it much attention. That lump sits in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens for nearly 2 years. And then, on the 17th of May, 1902, an archaeologist named Valerios Stias picks it up and notices something in the crust. A gear. What Stace had found, and what most scholars initially refused to believe, was a mechanical device of extraordinary complexity. Constructed from bronze sheet, originally housed in a wooden case approximately 34 centimeters by 18 centimeters by 9 centimeters, roughly the size of a thick hardcover book. The mechanism was not, as first assumed, of medieval origin. Analysis confirmed it was ancient. Constructed sometime between 200 and 87 BC. Scholars still debate the exact date, but certainly before the ship sank, between 70 and 60 BC. What survived the sea is 82 fragments, only a third of the original mechanism. But within those 82 fragments, 30 surviving bronze gears, 4 of which contain the primary gear trains. The largest surviving gear is 13 centimeters in diameter and originally had 223 teeth, each one cut with precision that would challenge a modern workshop. The entire original mechanism had approximately 37 identifiable gears. For context, a modern mechanical wristwatch typically contains between 15 and 25 gears. The Antikythera mechanism, built 2,000 years ago, without electricity, without steel tools, without any technology we associate with precision manufacturing, had more. And it was not a timepiece. It was far more ambitious than that. The Antikythera mechanism is an analog astronomical calculator, a hand-powered computer built from bronze gears. You turn a single knob on the side. One turn represents 1 day. And every dial on the device updates simultaneously, calculating positions across the entire known cosmos. The front face showed the position of the sun and moon in the zodiac, tracking the Egyptian calendar and a second 365-day Greek solar calendar running simultaneously on two concentric rings. The back face had two large spiral dials. The upper spiral tracked the 19-year Metonic cycle, 235 lunar months, which allowed the user to calculate the relationship between solar years and lunar months with extraordinary precision. Alongside it, a subsidiary dial tracked the 4-year cycle of the ancient Pan-Hellenic Games, including the Olympics. The lower spiral of the back face is perhaps the most remarkable feature. It tracked the Saros cycle, 223 lunar months, approximately 18 years, the cycle used to predict both solar and lunar eclipses. Not just that an eclipse would occur, but when and whether it would be visible from a given location on Earth. In 2021, a team at University College London, led by Professor Tony Freeth, published the first reconstruction of the mechanism that accounted for all physical evidence and all inscriptions. Their conclusion, published in Nature's Scientific Reports, the front face also displayed a model of the cosmos, showing the positions of the 5 planets known to ancient Greece: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, all in a geocentric model, moving simultaneously as you turned the knob. It was, in the most literal sense, a portable model of the universe.
Here is the fact that reshapes everything else. The Antikythera Mechanism was built approximately 2,100 years ago. Machines of comparable mechanical complexity, multiple gear trains, multiple simultaneous outputs, precision-cut bronze gears working in sequence, did not appear again in Western Europe until the 14th century AD. That is a gap of approximately 1,400 years. This is not a contested claim. This is not fringe archaeology. It appears in Britannica, in peer-reviewed papers, in the 2021 UCL study published in Scientific Reports. No geared mechanism of comparable sophistication is known from any point between the Antikythera Mechanism and medieval cathedral clocks. Not in Rome, not in the Byzantine Empire, not in early medieval Europe. There are theories about why. The most common? Bronze artifacts were routinely melted down for their raw material value. The Antikythera Mechanism may have survived only because the ship carrying it sank. We may have lost dozens of similar devices to the furnace of history. But here is the harder question. Not whether others existed, but how the knowledge to build this one was acquired at all. The mechanism sat largely unstudied for 50 years. Most scholars assumed it must be of medieval origin. Surely nothing this complex could be genuinely ancient. In 1951, British science historian Derek de Solla Price, later a professor at Yale, took a closer look. He spent more than 20 years studying it, eventually publishing a landmark paper in 1974 titled Gears from the Greeks, the Antikythera Mechanism, a calendar computer from circa 80 BC. Price called it, and I quote, a wonder of the ancient world. A few years later, the physicist Richard Feynman, one of the most celebrated scientists of the 20th century, visited the National Archaeological Museum in Athens specifically to see it. Feynman wrote that the mechanism was, in his words, so entirely different and strange that it is nearly impossible. It is some kind of machine with gear trains, very much like the inside of a modern wind-up alarm clock.
In 1976, Jacques Cousteau led a diving expedition to the wreck site. He recovered additional coins and bronze fragments, which confirmed the shipwreck date more precisely to the 1st century BC. In 2005, a research team from Cardiff University used X-ray computed tomography, CT scanning, to read text hidden inside the encrusted fragments. What they found was a manual, instructions, written in Greek on the device itself, explaining how to operate it. Someone had written a user guide for the world's first computer.
In March 2021, a team at University College London, led by Professor Tony Freeth, published what they described as the first reconstruction of the complete Antikythera mechanism, the first model to conform to all physical evidence and all scientific inscriptions simultaneously. Previous reconstructions had accounted for the back face, the eclipse predictor, and the Metonic calendar, but the front face, the display of the cosmos, had remained largely unresolved. No previous model could make all the gears fit while matching the inscriptions. The UCL team's innovation was to find gear ratios that could be shared across the planetary gear trains, using the astronomical cycles described in the inscriptions as mathematical constraints. They found that the 7 planetary bodies, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, could all be displayed simultaneously on the front face, using an elegant set of shared gear trains with 17 and 7 as key prime factors. Professor Freeth's words, published in scientific reports, "Ours is the first model that conforms to all the physical evidence and matches the descriptions in the scientific inscriptions engraved on the mechanism itself. The sun, moon, and planets are displayed in an impressive tour de force of ancient Greek brilliance." The device, it is now believed, showed the entire geocentric cosmos as understood by the ancient Greeks, all moving simultaneously in real time as you turned a single knob on the side. We know what it does. We know when it was made. We know it was found on a ship that sank between 70 and 60 BC, off a small Greek island at 45 meters depth. What we do not know, what no one knows, is who made it. Scholars believe it was likely made on Rhodes, where the astronomer Hipparchus lived and worked. The mathematical methods inside the mechanism, particularly the way it handles the moon's variable speed, match the theories of Hipparchus almost exactly. It is believed, but not confirmed, that the knowledge encoded in this device came from him. The level of refinement of the mechanism, its precision, its elegance, suggests to scholars that it was not the first of its kind, that expertise of this kind requires generations, that there were other devices, lost to us, that preceded it. Cicero, writing in Rome in the 1st century BC, described a device owned by his friend that could predict the movements of the sun, moon, and 5 planets. Some researchers believe he was describing a device like the Antikythera mechanism. If he was, then the ancient world had not one of these. It had a tradition of them. And nearly every one was melted down. The Antikythera mechanism survived because a ship sank. If that storm had not come, or if the ship had reached its destination, we would have no evidence that this level of technology ever existed in the ancient world. Our understanding of history would be different. Completely, fundamentally different. That is what 82 pieces of corroded bronze actually contain. That is STRATA.